So, hey you. You see I'm wrapped in my cover because I'm cold, but I want to talk to you guys. It's been a long day, but it's been a very productive and busy day. So it's okay. But I was thinking earlier and this topic came to my mind, or title, I guess. And it was like, expose you before they do. And I was like, man, God, what does this mean? How can I apply this to my own life? Or whatever. So I was just going about through the day and I just kept pondering on the title, expose you before they do. Now, I don't know your business, but I tell you all mine, so I can only speak for me. But when that came to me, I was just like, man, you really need to be consistent in what you do or they'll expose you. And for me, in a lot of past experiences, I was definitely not consistent in what I did. But the thing that made me a little different from most people is because nobody called me out on what I was doing. You know, nobody called me out on my relationship. Nobody called me out on my grades. Nobody called me out because they were doing the same thing. So it was like, you know, we can't tell her to not to do something that we're doing. But now that I've grown and gotten a little more mature and a little more stable, you know, and I don't do those things anymore. If I was to, you know, go back and try to revisit some of that, somebody would expose me because I get on here and I pour my life out to you guys and I'm trying to live the life that God has called me to live. And then I do something like that. It's like, how could she, you know, how could she do that and then still get back on here like nothing ever happened? But that's forgiveness and the grace of God. But what I mean expose you, meaning know your weaknesses, know what makes you, you know, struggle, or know your points where you know you're not as strong. If you know fornication and you know you've had sex with guys before and you know that's something that you've dealt with, then maybe you need to be single for a while. And it's no shade. It's just calling a spade and saying it for what it is. If you know that every guy you talk to, he always end up having another girl, and you decide, you need to expose that about yourself. You need to sit yourself down and say, hey, this is what this is. We're going to deal with this problem. Because in this generation, this society, this world, if you playing both sides, they'll expose you. And they'll put your business on the front street. And I admire this guy I knew when he fell into something. He got up and he was like, you know, I did this, but I'm moving forward. I'm striving. He was like, I'm not going to let the enemy hold me down with this. I'll put it out there so he won't have to hunt me with it. And I'll let the world know what I did. And they'll watch me recover as well. But like I said, expose you before they do. Knowing your weaknesses, knowing what you like, knowing what turns you on, what kind of guys you like, what kind of girls you like, the stuff you like to watch on TV, you know, stuff that you shouldn't watch. You know, you probably want to have a reality check with yourself and, you know, admit some of these things yourself, because I think a lot of the times, well, I know I was in denial at one point. I thought I was somewhere I wasn't. Like, I thought I had arrived at the mark and I was nowhere near the beginning of the mark. So, you know, we need to have a reality check with ourselves, because I know sometimes when you come into this walk, me, when I came into it, I was doing real good. I was like, yeah, you know, I'm not doing anything bad, you know, or nothing like that. But what is considered bad? Like, you know, my bad wasn't your bad, you know, but I wasn't sleeping around. I wasn't doing this foolishness. I wasn't stealing, killing, cheating, robbing, none of this. But I wasn't doing a lot of the things I wasn't doing, but nobody knew because I had them hidden. But I came to the point in my life where I was willing to expose the things about me, things that maybe that were wrong with me, or weaknesses, or things that I was working on, because a lady told me when you expose the enemy, he has no choice but to leave you alone. So I know if I'm dealing, say, with loneliness, and I'm always watching these movies, or I'm always doing this and yada, 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 I'll go ahead on and put that out there and I'll tell the world, hey, you know what, I'm lonely, I'm dealing with this, but you know what, I'm about to pour into my word, I'm about to dive into it and find out who God is, and I know that he's with me, so I should never be lonely, you know, and stuff like that. Expose those things about you so nobody else will have to. You don't have to be looking over your shoulder wondering, oh, they know what I did, they know what I watched, they know who I talked to, they know what I did last night. Do they know what I'm thinking? You know, crazy stuff that you'll be thinking. Go ahead on and admit those things to yourself, and you won't have to plague yourself wondering if people know what you did. Go on and just admit it to yourself. So if it is brought to you again, you can embrace it and you can walk forward because you know that's the old you. Like for me, I used to go out a lot. Not that I was just a big dancer. Well, I did like to dance, but I used to go out a lot. But then when I came into this walk, I was like, I can't do that, because people will call you out when they feel like you're being fake. And me, if I was, now some people can get away with that, but I just couldn't get away with that, because I have accountability partners that'll pull me to the side and say, hey, this is what you're doing. We need to cut that out. You know, you need to keep moving forward. Let's expose this thing and let's deal with it, you know, and we're going to get it together. But I think a lot of the time, because this generation has grown up with the mentality, my business, you don't need to know what's going on with me. What happens in my house stays in my house. Is a lot of time we end up bound. Like I told somebody, I was like, you know, I said, this has been a challenging year for me regarding being lonely. Like I've never really battled just being lonely or shaking that feeling of being lonely. I had told a mentor of mine, and she was like, man, she was like, why didn't you tell anybody? You know, we could have been in prayer for you. We could have came together and we could have got, you know, we could have helped you get over that thing, you know. But me, I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want to be exposed, and I didn't want anybody to know what I was dealing with. So I kept it to myself. So I was bound for a little bit, because I was like, man, everybody getting married, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing this, and I'm over here watching Lifetime like, who the killer, you know? So that's what I mean when I say expose those things, you know, before they expose you. And they don't have to be people. If you're dealing with lying and you don't admit to yourself that you a lie, I'm pretty sure somebody's going to call you out, and they're going to call you for what you are, if that's, you know, something you do, you know. So you just have to really be true to you, who you are, and be real with yourself. The worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. You know, that's making yourself think you're somewhere you're not, or you're someone you're not. It only puts you in bondage. It doesn't look like it at that moment, but it does. So don't let them expose you. Go ahead and expose those things about you. Face the reality for what it is and change it. You know, facts change. I heard a minister say, you know what, it's a fact that he didn't have his house yet, but he said facts change. So if that's a fact in the current situation that you might be dealing with, fornication, you're a liar, you're this, you're that, hey, that may be a fact at the moment, but facts can change. So just expose that about you, deal with it, and get to the root of the problem and the real answer, which is, why do you keep ending up in situations like that? Let's really get to the bottom of this thing so we can pull it up from the root and expose the enemy for who he is, which is a liar, you know? So I just really wanted to just tell you that. Expose those things about you that you know you need to work on and in those areas, because if you don't, those areas will eventually expose you. And nothing kills opportunity like immaturity. So grow up.